look at this, gents, and I look at it on the surface, and Mark, I'm going to come to you first of all for this. Liverpool won half their games in March, but there were only 4. So I don't know if, we feel differently. I don't know how it all sits, but when you look at all those 4 fixtures, which seems hardly any, really, how does it sit for you currently?
Yeah, it's difficult. You don't want to be too greedy, because we do find ourselves in such a good place in the league, and I think it's hard to feel the correct context at the moment. I find myself really down in the dumps with just the last few weeks and the Trent stuff, and it takes a little bit of shaking, to remind yourself of we would have done anything to be here, right here, exactly here, 12 points clear. Not just this season, my entire life, I would have given anything to be exactly here, right here, with 9 to go, 12 clear. It should be a dream. But there's just been so many kind of bumps in the road over the last few weeks that it's hard to hold that positive outlook. And I do think we'll get back to it. I think when the dust settles on this month, and it's a little bit frustrating, we haven't had a game, and there's not been kind of a way to rebound ourselves and get back into it.
True.
So all we're left with is, looking back at the month, and the first one in Paris, I thought we were really, really abject in Paris. I thought we were an Allison away from an absolute hiding in my eyes. I think that's as comfortably beaten in a game as I can recall Liverpool being by anybody. Even in the City games years ago under Klopp, where where it all went wrong and we'd lose by 2 or 3, I never quite felt as helpless as I did in that one. We met our match there. They had us, and it wasn't like we'll maybe talk about with the cup final, maybe a lack of desire or any of these things. It just felt like quality and kind of speed of play and just the whole range. They had things that we didn't have, and we just couldn't really live with them. The Southampton game, all we really need to do in the league is keep winning, and I guess we got there, and that's something to say about it. But you and I were there, Dave. The first half was a nightmare. It was it couldn't get going. Just didn't seem to have. I don't know if they'd blown a lot of their energy chasing the ball around in Paris.
Maybe.
There is a lot at stake, and the pressure is huge, and we're playing the same team a lot of times. Are we burning out? It's hard to say. There's still ways to go in the season, but that first half, with a title on the line, it was maddening. Really watching the lack of what I would call desire, I guess, in a game like that. It didn't feel like they realized the magnitude of how important it is to win these games. It's everything, and we were lucky. Someone switched Darwin on for 20 minutes to go and get us that win, because ultimately it did kind of come down to that. Ironically, the home Paris game was probably our best game of the month. It's probably the only one that I thought we played certainly better than average. We gave a decent showing of ourselves. I think we didn't finish our chances. A couple of really big ones. The Salah one really early on is the one that I've replayed a bunch of times in my head since then, just thinking if that had just the season he's having, everything's been going, and if that had just crept over the line somehow, maybe a different game. And also the fortune of their goal still annoys me a little bit. Just the weird nature of it, the slide in, and it's Szoboszlai could have got there. Just a really frustrating way to lose it, and you don't want to go. You don't want to go to penalties against that goalie. No. Very annoying. Allison, for all his brilliance, penalties isn't actually one of the things he necessarily excels in. So, just one of those things. Penalties kind of have to take it on the chin. They were the better side over two games, and we still had a cup final to play at that stage, which we were all feeling pretty positive about. Another day at Wembley. I to be honest, I really fancied us going to Wembley. Really did. Going in, we were only really missing Trent. Had with the season we've been having, the form we've been on over the duration. We'd played Newcastle just a few weeks ago and been really convincing against them. I felt that was going to be ours, and actually I felt it was going to be 2 or 3-0 if I'm being perfectly honest. And just the most abject, disappointing performance you could imagine in a cup final, really. They basically beat us in every department. Their quality was more, their desire was significantly more. They looked like a team in a cup final, and we didn't. They looked like a team that it meant something to. And I have to say, even as a fan going there, I think my own kind of arrogance going in showed kind of throughout the whole stadium. I think Liverpool support versus theirs. I think the fact that we've been to so many cup finals lately over the last 3 or 4 years, I think it did lose a bit of its shine, a little bit of its importance. It was more like, here we go again, rather than, this. I remember the first time we went, the first League Cup final, just whatever it was, 3 years ago. I think the three of us were at that one. And, we hadn't been to Wembley before ourselves. We hadn't been to a cup final in a while, and it just had this like really special feel about it. And I just think the Wembley thing 4 times in the last few years, it's just maybe taken the edge, or not necessarily the edge off, but just the importance of it. I think we all took it a little bit too much for granted, the players, the fans, the whole lot together. And it's a real shame that, because you don't get a cup final back, and ultimately just a really disappointing way to end the month, a really difficult month. And that's without mentioning the contract stuff that we'll get into.
Christ, it's hard to argue with any of that. James, you're a bit of a cheerier character by nature. Can you bring it up a little bit, or is it similar for you?
I mean, I can bring it up. I mean, at the end of the day, the big thing was to win the league game, and we done that. So mission accomplished. I guess, being at the PSG game and Anfield under the lights, the atmosphere just wasn't the same. The only thing that I'm thinking, very different. Very different indeed. Same as the Carabao Cup as well. Sentiment to Mark, 100%. I think we've taken it for granted. We haven't taken it nearly seriously, and they've come in and just steamrolled us over. And their support, I mean, that's the first time that I've ever seen Liverpool being out supported. The Geordies were amazing, really were. Hats off to them, like.
Yeah, it's so weird, because I kind of started the month with that and thought, let's be honest, lads, that was the ultimate smash and grab. That was a piss take of a result, really, wasn't it? We were battered in Paris, and Darwin and Harvey robbed it. And I thought, okay, could it just be one of those months and getting a result? And then this one, like you said, it was abject in the first half, but it just clicked, and you just wondered, could it just be one of those months? We might not play well, but we've got that sort of demon side over teams. That, like you guys, was just, it was disappointing, because we had chances in that. But ultimately, you play that game and you think, they deserve it after 2 legs. There's no debate about that. They're the better team. They deserved it. When you stack it up over the 2 legs, it's not an unfair result. So you kind of live with that. And you live with that on the basis you're thinking, we've got a Carabao final. We've got a title coming. This is going to be epic still. And that probably, and it's maybe that recency bias element, it just falls on its arse big time in every single metric. The desire, the fight, even the quality at times just wasn't there.
Oh, yeah. We didn't create anything at all, did we? One thing we've had all season is chances. We've never looked kind of lacking in ideas. And that game just felt like it could go forever, and we were never going to break the door down. I mean, we barely even scratched it. It just felt helpless, didn't it? And that's mental against Newcastle. They're not an elite side; they're a good side, but they're not an elite side. That's why it was easier to take your medicine against Paris, because I was thinking, this is an elite side. We're just seeing an elite side here. But Newcastle, to watch us go down so meekly, just really disappointing. I mean, it really, really is. I almost found myself wondering if the Anfield Paris second leg had gone our way, which it so easily could have. I mean, it's drop of a hat stuff. It could have it was on a knife edge. It could have fallen our way so easily, so many times in the game. I found myself wondering, would the cup final have looked completely different on the back of a qualification. You know, it just looked like a team that had the life sucked out of them, the cup final. They just didn't look to have any kind of fire in the belly. And we also have that issue that the league feels kind of done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As in, it's not in the City days of every game, every second, the intensity of it. We've got this weird situation where our season is kind of, the air has gone out the balloon kind of thing, you know, and we're just kind of left there holding it. And the cup final felt that way, you know, it felt like the air had just come out of it. And I just feel like if we had got over the line somehow in the Champions League one, it just would have kept the air in the balloon, you know, it just would have kept it feeling like we still have something to hold on for here.
It's a fair shout, because even if you win that on penalties, you bounce into Wembley on Sunday, don't you? Anfield's absolutely roaring. You're thinking, we are not playing well and we're still winning games. Newcastle, it doesn't matter what you do, we're going to beat you type of thing. But yeah, it does just feel like maybe a slow puncture style towards that, and a deflation there. And with this one, Jamesy, this is bizarre we're doing it this way, because normally when we talk, chaps, we bring 5 players to the table, don't we, for like player of the month, and it's like a ball hair between them, usually Mo Salah at the top and splitting the rest. But Jamesy, standout player of March for you?
Alisson. I mean, that PSG performance is just things that legends are made of. And it was the way that his versatility of his saves, it was just amazing. I mean, if you remember his what do you call him? The Georgian Messi cut inside, looked like it was going to go into the right hand, and he went to the left, big paw down. And then in the 80th minute, Dory as well, that big curling shot and how he got across, just phenomenal. And that's only 2 I've picked out because it was just such a versatility and such a great performance. And then he was the one that smashed the ball up. Nunez dropped down and it went to Elliott, and you know, that was 1-0. So Alisson for me, Dave, like without a shadow of doubt, I think to be fair, I don't think there's any standout performances except for Alisson.
It's tough, Mark. Could you offer anything else than that?
I mean, I agree with him. It is Alisson, just because there was one absolutely world-class elite performance in the month and nobody else can boast that. But the other 2, I guess I would mention, is 2 lesser recognised guys for us, and that's Elliott and Nunez. I thought they both had telling contributions in 2 games, both in the PSG game and both in the Southampton game. Made a marked difference, Elliott, when he came on. Nunez was the match winner for us. Nunez's battling thing against Paris was, again, notable in a season where both of them, I think, will be pretty disappointed about, you know, how they find themselves at this late stage, how it's gone for them. They both contributed a fair amount there in those 2. And we only had 4 games in the month, you know. I don't think anyone would pick out a positive player in the cup final at all. So, you know, you're looking at 3 matches and 2 of those guys did shine.
Do you know what? I was thinking, like you said, Jamesy, I mean, Alisson was a 600 out of 10 in that game, so it just carries over into all the rest a little bit, and you give him a pass into everything else. But when you stack it up for the games, Harvey gets the winner there, like you said. Harvey comes on at half times, and a big reason why it's changed there. And also, it kind of gets forgotten in extra time, or sorry, the late minutes, and it's Harvey that gives us any hope. He plays the ball in for Chiesa.
True, yeah, I forgot that one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's him. So really, for 3 out of 4 games, it's hard to fault Harvey. And probably with Darwin, Christ, he should have just given up after Southampton, shouldn't he? And just stopped there realistically, and the penalty and that. But yeah, it's weird considering we talk about so many options that there's not really too many on the docket. Maybe. Yeah.
And not to forget, Dave, you and I were sitting at the Southampton game at halftime begging for them to take Darwin off. Begging, because he just kicked whoever it was. And we were saying, if he comes out for this second half, this manager doesn't have a fucking clue. And he comes out and just wins us the game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, which probably shows that you shouldn't really listen to us.